The snow monster's whole body began to melting, its face sagging into a droopy, melting mess that dripped like overheated ice cream. The heat coming off Lin Tion was way too intense, so intense the creature couldn't even twitch. All it could do was melt away bit by bit. Funny enough, this miserable slow drip fade seemed to be the only way to actually kill it. Watching the monster collapse into slush, Lin Tion suddenly paused, something about the scene sparking a weird déjà vu. He crouched down, scooped up a small piece, and, without overthinking it, gave it a taste. After a second, he decided it wasn't bad at all. More like strawberry ice cream, actually. That was enough to make him take a few more eager bites. The snow monster let out a tortured roar, half agony and half pure disbelief. From the way its voice cracked, it seemed to be yelling that he was eating its flesh right in front of it, and if Lin Tion wanted to kill it, he should just kill it outright rather than torment it like this. Right then, a system notification chimed in his mind, congratulating him on obtaining the skill Snow Preservation Environment. Lin Tion froze in surprise. Getting a skill from casually tasting monster slush? Pretty impressive. Still, even if he could create an extreme cold environment, he wouldn't survive the chill himself, so he triggered mutant fusion, absorbing a larger chunk of the creature's melting body. If he could mutate into something closer to the monster's form, then cold resistance wouldn't be an issue. He even commented to himself that the snow monster's regeneration in ice ability was pretty solid, and wondered aloud if he could snatch that too. With that thought in mind, he kept eating. The snow monster was in so much pain it was on the verge of passing out. It screamed that he'd already eaten its chest and ears, then suddenly froze in terror as Lin Tion reached for another piece. Its voice shot up several octaves as it begged him not to eat that part, its little brother. Lin Tion gagged instantly, stumbling back and flinging the questionable chunk away like it was cursed. He muttered that he had almost eaten something he definitely shouldn't have and decided this was probably a good moment to stop before he traumatized himself. The snow monster screamed again, its voice tearing apart as it accused him of throwing its happiness everywhere and letting it evaporate, claiming Lin Tion had made it lose its love. By now its body was nearly completely melted. Even in its final seconds before evaporating into thin air, it managed to spit out one last hateful warning, that the demon sovereign would never forgive Lin Tion, and that it would be waiting for him in the afterlife. Hearing that name made Lin Tion's eyes narrow. Right before the creature vanished, he shut off the Apollo heart. He said he had changed his mind, letting it die this easily was too cheap. He really should kill it and destroy its soul while he was at it. The snow monster had no idea what he meant, but pure survival instinct exploded inside it. It twisted around, desperately trying to regenerate, and sprinted toward the cave entrance. It clearly believed staying even one more second would get it killed. As it fled, still half melting and half reforming, it screamed back curses, swearing that Lin Tion would regret every second of this treatment. The rest of the group finally caught up behind him. The raptor glanced at the retreating monster and asked if Lin Tion wanted him to chase it. Lin Tion said there was no need, the creature would definitely come back. He added, calm but terrifyingly cold, that he'd release the water monster lord as well. Despite his calm tone, something icy sinister wrapped around his words, making everyone who heard him feel a chill crawl straight down their spine. No one argued. They all knew Lin Tion hadn't been planning to kill either monster anyway. Killing them would break the rules of the Great Tomb. Inside the Great Tomb, the water monster lord and the snow monster were sobbing miserably, their tears practically streaming like busted fountains. They were ranting to anyone who would listen, saying the great demon lord had no idea how much they'd suffered. The water monster was shaking as he explained that goblins had slaughtered countless members of his tribe and eaten every last one. They'd even kidnapped many of their females and turned them into breeding tools. The snow monster jumped in, saying he'd been minding his own business up in the northern snowfields when those same goblins rushed him out of nowhere. And worst of all, he insisted with dramatic despair, Lin Tion had eaten him piece by piece. Thanks to that, he'd even lost his love. On the highest step sat the same figure who always occupied it, albedo, and above her, presiding over everything, was the master of the tomb of Nazar, the incarnation of ultimate darkness, the skeleton king. As the two lords whined loudly, none of the other demonic beings reacted. They just kept silent, acting like they heard absolutely nothing. Only albedo glanced at the two pitiful monsters and commented that even if the goblins were strong, shouldn't the two of them feel at least a little embarrassed losing this badly? Before either monster could respond, Veronica's hoarse voice filled the hall. She told albedo to take the two lords to the goblin tribe, and added that she trusted albedo already knew exactly what she was supposed to do. Darkness then swallowed her figure completely until she faded away. The snow and water lords practically lit up with excitement. If albedo was going to intervene, then surely they'd get their revenge. They both dropped to their knees, thanking the great demon lord with trembling voices. Not long after, a pillar of black-purple light erupted from the center of the goblin tribe, proof that someone from the tomb of Nazar had just arrived via teleportation. At that exact moment, Lin Tion was busy supervising a breeding session. He looked up, frowning at the bright column. Gobu hurried to explain that during Lin Tion's absence, people from Nazarick had shown up and installed a teleportation system, and she hadn't been able to stop them. Lin Tion waved it off and told everyone to keep working, saying he'd handle the situation personally. Up in the sky, albedo descended slowly, stopping about 5 meters off the ground, radiating an overwhelming presence that made the air feel heavy. The water and snow monsters tumbled out of the teleportation light behind her, trembling but trying way too hard to act intimidating. Seeing the whole entrance, Lin Tion couldn't help mocking them, saying he'd actually expected the Bone Queen instead of them. Albedo didn't even glance at Lin Tion at first. She simply surveyed the area with obvious disgust, muttering that the place looked like a breeding farm, and an extremely productive one at that. Even she, proud succubus demon that she was, seemed thrown off. She admitted she had never seen a goblin tribe of this size in any historical record. She even told Lin Tion that he clearly knew how to run a tribe if he'd managed to take over a human city so easily. She said she was starting to believe he somewhat deserved the title of Great Chieftain. But then she stopped mid-sentence, eyes widening. Her gaze had locked onto someone behind Lin Tion, Alice, stepping out of the tent in full jet-black armor. Albedo instantly remembered her, the Sword Saint Alice. She'd seen her once before, but now something about Alice felt different, far more dangerous. The sheer pressure Alice radiated now was several times stronger. Albedo couldn't figure out what had happened to her. Alice walked up behind Lin Tion, her sinister aura practically crackling in the air. She asked him calmly if he needed her to deal with the noisy pest. Lin Tion just told her there was no need, that she should go back into the tent and rest. Hearing the way she addressed him sent a jolt through Albedo, who tightened her expression even further. Why would a sword saint address a goblin as "my lord emissary?" and obey him so willingly? Just what kind of monster was Lin Tion? Meanwhile, the other goblins had become completely mesmerized by Albedo's beauty. Their eyes turned blood-red, filled with obsessive, lustful hunger, drool practically dripping down their chins. Lin Tion shot them an annoyed look and asked Albedo why she'd come here, whether Bone King had sent her just to stand around doing nothing. Albedo kept studying him, interest growing the longer she looked. She muttered that he really did seem different from the other goblins. He was the only one who could look at her calmly.
This guy awakened as a S-rank farmer. In a world where everyone gets a shiny, dramatic awakening at a certain age, fire mages, sword gods, lightning prodigies, you name it. And then there's Timu. Yeah. In a world full of monster attacks, city-destroying disasters, and people casually tossing around magic nukes, he pulled the "congrats, you can grow tomatoes" card. Everyone took one look at his so-called blessing and basically pre-wrote his obituary. A farmer's skill? Here? That's not an awakening, that's a threat from the universe. But 2? Nah. He didn't flinch. Because his plants weren't regular vegetables. These things had attitudes. Every crop he grew came with its own special ability, some fought, some defended, some straight-up tanked blows that would fold professional hunters. His field looked like a peaceful little garden until you realized every leaf in there was ready to commit homicide on command. While the rest of the world chased glory with swords, spells, and ego problems, he built an army from the dirt under his feet. And that useless farmer awakening? Yeah, it was just the beginning.